Good morning. Dishana 2021 is a multidisciplinary international webinar organized by K.R. Srinarayana College, Valanchery, in association with Kerala State Higher Education Council from 8 November 2021 to 29 November 2021. The webinar is going to be an excellent platform for discussing recent trends in the fields of languages, science, and social science. 16 renowned plenary speakers from various national and international premier institutes have concerned to deliver their lectures. The beneficiary of this program will be undergraduate, postgraduate students, research scholars, faculty members of various institutions and colleges, universities. This international webinar is expected to provide a circular enrichment for students and professional development for faculty members, expecting your wholehearted participation and encouragement. Before starting the program, I request everyone to please mute your microphone as well as your video. Today's program is organized by Department of Statistics. Before starting the program, let's take the blessings from the Almighty. Prayer.
ദൈവമേ കാത്തുകൊള്ളുകങ്ങ് കൈവിടാതിങ്ങു ഞങ്ങളെ നാവികൻ നീ ഭവാദിക്ക് ഒരാവിവൻ തോണി നിൻ പദം ഒന്നൊന്നായി എണ്ണി എണ്ണി തൊട്ടെണ്ണും പൊരുളൊടുങ്ങിയാൽ നിന്നിടും ദൃക്ക് പോലുള്ളം നിന്നിലസ്പന്ദമാകണം അന്നവസ്ത്രാദി മുട്ടാതെ തന്നു രക്ഷിച്ചു ഞങ്ങളെ ധന്യരാക്കുന്ന നീയൊന്നു തന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾക്കു തമ്പുരാൻ ആഴിയും തിരയും കാറ്റും ആഴവും പോലെ ഞങ്ങളും മായയും നിൻമഹിമയും നീയുമെന്നുള്ളിലാകണം നീയല്ലോ സൃഷ്ടിയും സ്രഷ്ടാവായതും സൃഷ്ടിജാലവും നീയല്ലോ ദൈവമേ സൃഷ്ടിക്കുള്ള സാമഗ്രിയായതും നീയല്ലോ മായയും മായാവിയും മായാവിനോദനും നീയല്ലോ മായയെ നീക്കി സായുജ്യം നൽകുമാര്യനും നീ സത്യം ജ്ഞാനമാനന്ദം നീ തന്നെ വർത്തമാനവും ഭൂതവും ഭാവിയും പേരല്ലോതുമൊഴിയുമോർക്കിൽ നീ അകവും പുറവും തിങ്ങും മഹിമാവാർന്ന നിൻ പദം പുകഴ്ത്തുന്നു ഞങ്ങളങ്ങ് ഭഗവാനെ ജയിക്കുക ജയിക്കുക മഹാദേവ ദീനവനപരായണ ജയിക്കുക ചിദാനന്ദ ദയാസിന്ധോ ജയിക്കുക ആഴമേറും നിൻ മഹസ്സാം ആഴിയിൽ ഞങ്ങളാകവേ ആഴണം വാഴണം നിത്യം വാഴണം വാഴണം സുഖം.
Now, I request Mr. Suraj, Assistant Professor in BSc Computer Science, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Aman. So, this is the 7th day of Dishna 2021, a multidisciplinary international webinar organized by Indian Quality Assurance Cell of K.R. Srinarayana College in association with Kerala Higher Education Council. So today we are going to participate in a webinar on introductory statistics organized by Department of Statistics, K.R. Srinarayana College. So in this occasion, first of all, I proudly welcome our resource person of the day, Dr. G. Kumarapandian, Assistant Professor of Statistics, Madras Christ College, Chennai. Welcome, sir. A warm welcome to this session. Next, I would like to welcome our Honorable Principal, Dr. V. Anil, the Principal of this esteemed college. Welcome, sir, to this session. Next, I wish to welcome Dr. Jitin M., the convener of Dishna 2021. Welcome, sir. And it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Fabida Ibrahim, the IQC coordinator of KRSN College this session. Welcome, ma'am. Next, I heartily welcome Ms. Atulya K., Head of the Department of Statistics, KRSN College. Welcome, ma'am. So finally, I wish to welcome the main pillars of today's session, the participants, dear colleagues, students, and other participants. All are welcome to this session. Thank you. Over to you, MOC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request Ms. Atulya K., Assistant Professor, Department of Statistics, for the Presidential Address.
Honorable Chief Guest Dr. G. Kumarapandian Sir, our respected Principal Dr. Anil Sir, and esteemed colleagues and dear participants, a warm good morning to you all. First of all, I really appreciate all the participants for being part of Dishana 2021. As you all know, today's session is on Introductory Statistics by Dr. G. Kumarapandian Sir, Assistant Professor of Statistics, Madras Christ College, Chennai. Since we are living in an information age, statistics plays a vital role in our everyday life. So, objective of today's session is to provide a base idea regarding our subject. It is our privilege to have a guest like Dr. Kumarapandian Sir. Thank you, sir. Please make use of today's opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Before inviting the resource person, a short introduction about it. First, everyone to keep your microphone off as well as your video. Dr. G. Kumarapandian, Assistant Professor, Department of Statistics in Madras Christian College, Chennai. He completed his SSLC with 92% and plus 2 with 80% in Vivekananda Higher Secondary School, Puducherry. And he also completed undergraduate in BSc Statistics in Indira Gandhi College of Arts and Science, Puducherry with 80.1% and post-graduation in MSc Statistics at Puducherry University with first rank. He also taken Doctor of Philosophy, that is PhD in Statistics in 2011 to 2015. Postdoctorate fellowship visiting as a scientist at ISTI, Indian Statistical Institute from March 2015 to May 2016. He received Pondicherry University Gold Medal is for the best performance in BSc Statistics, and Sri Sardar Dayal Sharma Gold Medal for best performance in MSc Statistics. Vijaya Bank Gold Medal for the best PG student at Puducherry University. We are so lucky to have such a great resource person to handle this session of statistics. I request Dr. G. Kumarapandian to take over the dais.
All, thank you so much for your nice words and nice explanation about my career. It's very good. And I explain my sincere thanks to the organizers and institutions, the principal and the other staffs who made this webinar to be happening in a great event, like almost like a month webinar. Is not such an easy task actually. So I explain my sincere thanks for giving this opportunity. So good morning to all. So in this session, we are going to see about something like introductory statistics. In other words, we can tell we are going to cover some basic things about statistics. I heard that the audience are from the other disciplines, right? And even statistic people are so there, but still this presentation will make you like you can get an outlook about statistics. Actually, what statistics and as a statistician, we people actually what we are doing. So these things you people can understand if you listen to this topic. And my request is like if you don't understand something and if you feel something doubt, please stop me anywhere. No issues. Don't hesitate to ask any question. Any kind of questions related to statistics or related to this presentation, you people can stop me anywhere. Okay, so don't hesitate. So let's move on to the topic. So what we are going to do actually? Okay, from the beginning it was not hearing, or the in between it gone?
It's like in between, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so this is the content like we are going to see about, like this is the thing, summary statistics, and we'll be seeing about hypothesis testing. Then we'll be seeing about t-test, then moving to the correlation regression, and later the important topic like what kind of test you people have to choose it, and what is non-parametric test, and we'll be discussing about some important statistical scenarios, something interesting one, and the top tips, and if time permit, I'll move on to the ANOVA. Okay. So what actually we won't cover. So that is the most important thing, which is the thing where I won't cover, right? It is like we won't be covering a lot of max, that we won't have a lot of max. So students coming to statistics support usually want help with using SPSS, choosing the right analysis and interpreting output. So like this presentation will be like, since I have heard that the audience are coming from other discipline, so I'll be dealing with the analysis part, like how to do the analysis, those things I'll be discussing using SPSS. Okay, and I'll be telling that how to do the right test and how to interpret the output. So like this, we'll be discussing the statistical methods using SPSS. Okay, SPSS is nothing but a package. It's a software. Okay, so it is exclusively used for statistical analysis. Okay, they often find mass carry, so you need to think a way of explaining without max. Okay, actually the students are very much scared about max. That's why they won't choose statistics also. That is the reason why people are worried, like max and statistics will be both are similar. So it's like both are not similar. Actually, it is kind of a difference there. And in this presentation, we won't be carrying much of formulas, much of derivations won't be there, and no much statistics, no much max will be there. Okay, we'll be carrying about the theoretical part with an example, and I'll be examining the things will explained with a suitable examples. Okay. So what do you mean by data and variable? Actually, how we people have to enter a data? Okay, so this is an outlook. So data, the answer to the question or the measurement from the experiment. Okay, so the answer to the question in the sense like, if you are going to ask something like, for example, what is your age? So you're asking a question and you'll be getting an output like age is like 30. So 30 is an output, right? So that 30 is nothing but your data. Okay, so variable, the measurement which varies between the subject, example, height and gender. Okay, so you can see here how it actually looks. How you have people have to enter the data means you have to first at the first row you have to choose the variable name. Here you can see a subject ID, gender, year of study and height, and below that you can give the different the IDs and the gender like male and female, and year of study like will be first year, second year, third year and PG, and what is height. So like this only your spreadsheet actually. In other words, like Excel, even Excel you can use for analysis, and this is an example of spreadsheet. The same way your SPSS sheet also will be looking. Okay. So like this only you have to enter a data. Okay, for entering a data and after how the data looks, they'll be looking in this format only. First, we can move on to the next thing like data variables. So we have two type of data variables. Okay, so one is scale, the other one is called categorical. What is scale actually? Scale is nothing but a data deals with the measurement, a numerical or count data. What is measurement? Measurement, for example, if you are going to measure the height of a person, that is the measurement, right? And numerical in the sense like the height of the measurement will be mentioned as a numerical thing, right? Like I will be mentioning as 170 centimeter. Even if you take for the weight, I will be measuring in the 50 kg. Okay, something we are going to measure in a numerical way. Okay, and those things will come under the scale, and the count data is like the number, the frequency. For example, the number of phone calls per day or the number of accident in a road. Like that, we'll be having number of boys in a class. Like something we are going to count it, that will come under the count data. There is a difference between the measurement and count. Measurement is something like we'll be using certain thing to measure it. Okay, and it is like an experiment we are performing and we'll be getting the output. But count data is nothing but it is a frequency. We are just going to count the values, the number of values to be getting. Okay, as I told the example, like if we want to know about the number of boys in a class, like we are going to count it, right? And categorical data, you can see categorical data is like it's opposite to scale. Categorical data is like something like we are going to qualify it. For example, male, female, you can't something, you can't measure it or you can't something count it. If you're going to ask something like male and female, you can ask
Sir,
how you, yeah.
Sir, so what is the difference between measurement, count data, and numerical? Both these measurement and count data are numerical only, right?
Come again, come again.
So, sir, I was asking, like, we can call both these measurements and count data as numerical data, right? All of them are numerical only, no?
Yeah, all of
Like
them are
constant
numerical.
scale.
Yeah, right. All of them are numerical. Whichever you are going to represent as a number, that will come under the numerical.
Okay.
There is a difference between measurement and count actually. Measurement is like whatever you are going to measure it, like as I told, height, weight. If suppose you are going to give the income, those things will come under the measurement. And with you are going to count it actually, the number, the frequency, that will come under the count data.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So categorical data is nothing but it is like whichever you are going to qualify it. If suppose I'm asking that whether your mobile is working well, yes or no, right? If suppose I am going to tell that rate your laptop, whether it is working good, better, best, like that, if you something you are going to qualify it, that will come under the categorical data. Okay, so this is the difference between the scale data and the categorical data. Usually you can see in the questionnaire box, whichever you are going to tick it, that will come under the categorical. And whichever you are going to write it, right, at the open-end question, something right, you are going to write it, that will come under the scale data. Okay. So further moving on to the scale, what are the different time? Actually, the question has been raised, right? So you can see a measurement will be taken as a continuous and the discrete will be taken as a counts. Okay. So this is the difference actually. And both are numerical actually. Fine. Okay. And categorical will be like ordinal and nominal. So continuous measurement takes any value, right? So you can take any value, right? Height can take from any value, right? It will be like taking from the centimeters, like you can take from even from 3 centimeters to we can go to how much height is, like we can take different kind of values. Even the weight also we can take from the newborn baby, like from 3 kg to we can take up to like a 90-95 kg we can take. So you can take any value. And discrete in the sense it is like count, right? For number. So it doesn't mean that it can't take any value. It can take any value, but it won't take the negative values and all. But continuous measurement, it can, there is a possible of getting negative values also. Okay. So that is the difference between the continuous data and the discrete data. And the categorical variable will be like ordinal and nominal. So ordinal data is nothing but whichever data you are going to order it. Okay. Good, better, best, highly satisfied, satisfied, less satisfied. Okay. Something you are going to rank it, that will come under the ordinal data. And something you are not going to give something in ordinal. Okay. Something you are not going to give in order. Okay. There is no meaningful order. In that case, it will be called nominal. For example, male, female, urban, rural. So in that case, you can't place it which is first one and which is second one. Okay. So like this, there is a difference. So something which you can't order it, that will go to be considered under the nominal. Okay. So categorical variable will be like two types. One is ordinal, one is nominal. Ordinal is nothing but whatever data you are going to order it, that will come under the ordinal. And whichever data you cannot order it, that will come under the nominal. The example you can see here, I have given the example nominal like cat and dog. You can't rank it which is first one, which is second. And you can see ordinal is like if suppose you are going to rank it something. This is the first place, this is the second place, this is the third place. Like this, if you are going to something you are going to order it, that will come under the ordinal. And discrete, like suppose I'm going to number the count, right? The number of students in a class. So the number of boys in a group, the number of girls in a class. Like that, if you're going to count something, that will come under the discrete. And measurement, you can see something you're going to measure it like height using the tag. I'm going to measure it. Something you're going to use something and you're going to measure something, that will come under the measurement. So for example, you can tell that what is your favorite subject. Can anyone tell what kind of data that will be? Maths, English, science, art, and French. Can you tell what kind of data it is? Can anyone tell?
Nominal.
It's a come again?
Nominal.
Yeah, right. So it is a nominal. For gender, it is male and female. It is like it is again a nominal. We can't rank it. And I consider myself to be good at mathematics. So in that case, I'm going to rank it like strongly disagree, not sure, agree, and strongly agree. That will come under the ordinal. And if I'm going to see about the recent max exam mark, so what it will be like score between like 0 to 100%, that will be coming under the scale. Okay. So these are the different kind of examples how your data will be looking. Okay. So this comes the statistics actually. Actually, in statistics, what we people do, how we people are differ from the other, right? So the first thing is we have a population. Okay, in our hand, we are going to consider a population, right? A set of units are there. It may be anything. Okay. And I am unable to study all these units. Since the reason is like lack of time. I don't have much time to study all these individuals. And second time, it's like I'm running out of human resource. Like I don't have sufficient resource to collect the data. And third thing, it's like I'm running out of cost. So overcome all these three things, I'm going to select a sample. Okay. Sample, this is a sample is like we are doing on every day, we will be doing a sample. Okay, for example, even if you go for some kind of shops, in sweet shop also, if we go, we'll be tasting little bit sweet, and we'll be concluding that that sweet is good. Okay, so that what we'll do means we'll take that sweet for half kg and 1 kg, right? But before taking that half kg and 1 kg, what we'll do means we'll just sample it, right? We'll just try it whether it is good or not. That is actually the real meaning of sample. Even if you go for some kind of a vegetable shop, before taking we are taking a tomato, what we'll do means we'll check the tomato whether it is good or not, right? So after taking 1 or 2 tomatoes, what you'll do means we'll be taking all the tomatoes. Yeah, it will be good. The assumption like it will be good. So that is the sample. So why we go for sample is, as I told, the reason is like the 3 reasons. Whenever we are lack of time, and whenever you don't have the sufficient resource to collect the data, and whenever we are lacking of cost. Okay. So to overcome all the 3 things, we go for sample. Okay. So what we are going to do means for the population, I'm going to select the sample. Okay. For example, if I have 100 units, I'm going to select only some 20 units. For example, I'm telling. Okay. And from the collected sample, I'm going to estimate something that will be called statistics. Okay. Statistic in the sense like, if suppose if I'm having 100 students, and from 100 students, I'm going to collect for 20 students. And from 20 students, I'm going to collect the average. Okay. For that 20 students average. And I will be assuming that this 20 students average will be equal to this 100 students average, which is known as parameter. Okay. So from population, whatever comes, that will be notated as parameter. Whatever comes from sample, that will be notated as statistic. Okay. And you people as a layman will be thinking that how is come possible? How a 20 mean, a 20, right? A 20 sample mean, how it will be equal to the 100 population mean? How come it is possible? Okay. It is possible. In statistical, by theoretical thing, it is possible. Since it is like, if you take a good representation of the sample. Okay, good representation means if the 100 populations are there, if you are going to take 20 samples, those 20 samples to be a good representation of the population. In that case, definitely your sample mean will be equal to the population mean. Okay, for example, I will explain with a simple example, then you people can understand. Oh, people are able to see the Excel sheet, right? Okay. So now I'm going to take 4 units. Okay. Population, I'm going to take 4 units. Okay. 4 units. So my capital N, that is usually notated as population size. Okay. So capital N is 4, and I'm going to select a sample of 2. Okay. I'm going to select a sample of 2. So my population size is 4 and sample size is 2. So my combination will be like 4C2, like NCN. So 4C2 means I will be having 6 possible samples. Okay, 6 possible samples. 6 possible samples. What are the 6 possible samples? Okay. Okay, 6 possible samples are, we have to take two samples. Okay, 2 sample unit we have to take. I am going to take like 1 and 2. That will be the first sample. Then 1 and 3. Then 1 and 4. Next, I am going to take 2 and 3. Is 2 and 4. Then 3 and 4. Okay, these are the units, and I'm going to take all the possible 6 samples. Okay, this is like without replacement. I'm not going to replace again, like 1, 1, again, repeating the same unit. I'm not doing. This is the example of doing without replacement. I'll be taking only 1 unit one time, and I won't replace it again. Okay, for that only 6 possible samples are there. That is NCN combinations. Okay, 4C2. 4C2 means 6 combinations. Okay, and I'm going to take the average of this thing. Okay, so you can see average will be like for 1 and 2, it will be like 1.5. Okay, so you can see here I'm going to take average for all the possible samples. Okay, for each sample. This is sample 1, sample 2, sample 3. Like I have 6 possible samples, and this is the population unit. Okay, and this population unit we are going to take the average. Okay, so average for this 4 unit. This is nothing but your mu. What we have seen in the slide, right? So this is nothing but your mu. So mu is 2.5. Okay, and this for this possible samples, this is the X bar for first sample, and this is the X bar for second sample. Like that, we'll be having for each sample, we'll be having each X bar, because as a project member, what you'll do means I may select this sample and you may select this sample, because selecting a sample depends upon the individual and selecting a sample is based upon randomness. We will be selecting randomly a sample. Okay, we are not going to prefer a particular person and we are not going to choose it. And the same way, whatever sample I choose may appear in your sample also. That is also possible. Okay. So now what actually this statistical theory tells about means, if suppose I am going to take the average of the average, I am having the all possible 6 samples, right? If suppose I am going to take the average of all this 6 average, you can see again it will come the population. Both will be equal. If you are going to take the average of the average, again it will be equal. This is your mu and this is your X bar double bar. Okay, X double bar is nothing but average of the average. And you can see here for these 2 samples, you can see the sample mean is 2.5, which is equal to the population mean. So now you can understand, even if I have a population unit of 4, I have chosen only 2, still my sample mean is equal to the population mean. This is the theoretical thing, actually a statistical background, right? It is tells about like there is a chance of getting even X bar will be equal to mu. Okay. So in that case, it is like these two samples are good representation of the population. Okay. And these remaining 4 are not good representation. In that case only, we will be rejecting those null hypotheses, alternate hypothesis. Those things I will come in the next slide. Okay. So there only, if you are going to choose the remaining 4 samples, we will be rejecting the null hypothesis. If you are going to choose these 2 the samples, then you will be accepting the null hypothesis. So accepting and rejecting will be depends upon the what kind of sample data you choose. Okay, this is called the unbiasedness actually. So sample mean is an unbiased estimator of the population mean. This is a statement the statistic people might have studied, right? This is nothing but your sample mean will be always equal to population mean. This is possible, and you can see for these 2 samples, your sample mean is equal to the population mean. So now you can understand what I actually mean. Okay, this is what I am telling. This is the sample statistic. X bar is 2.5. Okay, and mu is 2.5 for those 2 samples. For remaining things, it is not equal. Okay, so this is how the statistician will be working on. They'll be working on like from a population, they'll be collecting a sample and they'll be estimating a statistic. Through the estimated statistic, they'll be estimating the parameter. Okay, the parameter is nothing but your mu. Okay. So actually, any doubt? Okay, fine. So point estimation. So sample data is used to estimate the parameters of the population. So using the sample data, we are going to estimate the parameters of the population, like the mu. And statistics are calculated using the sample data, that is X bar. Okay, and parameters are the characteristics of the population data. Okay, parameters are the characteristics of population data, nothing but if you are having, for example, they have told that I have scored 92% in XLC, right? It means that they are told on average, they told like I have scored 92%. Okay, it means that each subject will be scoring equal to 92. Okay, instead of telling my individual marks, they told on average I have scored 92, right? What it means actually, that tells about the characteristics of a population. Characteristics of population means instead of telling my 5 subject marks, they'll be telling on a whole and average. Okay, that individual parameter represent the full population data set. Okay, so that tells about the parameter. Parameter is nothing but the characteristics of the population data. In other words, how we can tell mean notating a single value for the 100 set of values. Okay, for we have more than 1000 values also, we can notate as a single value on average, on standard deviation. We can tell like that on a single parameter. We can mention the characteristics of the population. So this is like sample mean and sample standard deviation. You can see this is the estimate I am going to do it, like population mean and population standard deviation. Okay, and this process is known as estimate. Okay, and this is the sample mean and this is the population mean. So how can exam score data be summarized? Okay, for example, I am taking the 60 students marks. Okay, and out of 65, right? So out of 65, I am going to take only 60. Actually, the mark is like out of 65, and I am taking the exam marks for 60 students. Okay, so how I am going to summarize this data? Because I am not going to explain all the individual data. Okay, so what I am going to do means I am going to take the summary statistics. I will be calculating the average, and I will be calculating the standard deviation. Okay, so standard deviation is a measure of how much your individuals differ from the mean. Differ from the mean means the individual observation, how much it differs from the standard deviation. Sorry, X bar. Okay, that tells about the standard deviation. The difference between the individual observation with the X bar, the mean. Okay. Large standard deviation will tell about your data has been spread out a large. Small standard deviation is tells about the little variation from the mean. Okay. For example, this is like why we go for standard deviation when we have the average. Okay. For example, like if you can take any sports take, okay, both the batsmen will be having the same average. For example, even if you can take Kohli and MSD, right, Dhoni, if you take the average for those two persons, both will be having the average on 50-50. Okay, for example, I'm telling in a one day cricket, if you take the average, they both will be carrying the 50. Whether we can conclude that both have performed in the same way, we can't conclude like that. Since we can tell like on a long run, we have to take the deviation, how much deviation they have done from each match. Whether each match they have scored almost like 50, each match they have scored. Okay, since it is not maybe equal, since MSD Dhoni might have scored 50 in all the matches. Okay, almost whatever the opportunity he got, he might have scored 50. But when compared to Kohli, it will be scored more number of centuries, so only his average is equal to Dhoni. Okay, so it doesn't mean that both performing in the same way, both performed better, but for taking the deviation, that will tell that how consistently they have performed. Okay. So for exam score, the mean is 30.5 and standard deviation is 14.46. So scale data. So scale data means the first thing comes to the mind is like assumption. The next thing will come to like it's a normal distribution. Okay, whatever may be the scale data, we will simply assume that the data follows normal distribution. Why we assume like that? Because normal distribution is like a parent population which covers all kind of distribution. Okay, as of now we'll be having like 55 to 60 distributions are there. All the distributions will come under the normal population, normal distribution. At certain point, all the distributions will be tending towards the normal population. Okay, so if we have the scale data, analysts we often assume it follows a normal distribution. Okay, this is the major assumption for scale data. Whenever we think that considering any measurement data, we'll be thinking only about the normal distribution. So actually normally distributed and how the data is not normally distributed, by plotting it using histogram, we can understand that whether it is normally distributed or not. Okay, you can see a normally distributed, you can see here, this is like a normal curve, right? Starting from mean. Hello? Any problem?
No, sir. No.
Okay, fine.
You
So
can
normally
go.
distributed, you can see here, it is like you will be having most of the values in the middle, and will be having certain values like left hand side and right hand side. And this is known as box plot, and this box plot tells about the four-way road. Actually, you people might have traveled in the road, right? This is the four-way road. This is the 2-lane, and this is another 2-lane. Okay, in this you people will be traveling towards north, and these people will be traveling towards south, right? And this is known as median. Even now you go for a road in a four-way road, you can see a line will be drawn like this only. Okay, and this is your minimum value, and this is your first quartile, and this is nothing but your median, and this is your third quartile, and this is nothing but your maximum. Okay, this is how your a road will be. Actually they will be dividing. Actually the first quartile is still about like 25% of the data will be falling here. Okay, like, and this is like a second quartile, remaining 50% will come here. Okay, 70% will come under the third quartile, and full set of data will be coming under the maximum. These two lines tells about minimum and maximum. Okay, and this is 25, this is 25, this is 25. Sorry, this is 25. Okay, and if suppose your data once you plotted in the histogram, or if you are plotting in a scatter plot, suppose your data looks like this, means it means that it is not normally distributed, it is skewed. The mean and median are very different for skewed data. For the normal data, your mean and median will be same. Okay, so summary statistics. So depends upon the data, you have to choose what kind of summary statistics I'm going to use it. Okay, if suppose I'm going to use the scale data, and if I have normally distributed, then I can take mean and standard deviation as my summary statistics. So based upon that summary statistic, we can conclude the characteristics of a population. If suppose I am having a skewed data, in that case, I have to take the median, interquartile range. Any two we have to take it. Interquartile range is nothing but Q3 minus Q1. The difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. First quartile is nothing but first 25% of your data. Okay, 25%. Okay, and median, that is second quartile, is nothing but the first 50%. It divides the data into two equal parts. And third quartile is nothing but 75% of your data. Okay, like this we have the difference. And the interquartile range is nothing but the difference between the Q3 minus Q1. Okay, that is interquartile range. And the categorical data is nothing but ordinal or nominal. For ordinal data, we'll be using median, and for nominal data, we'll be using mode. Okay. And for the deviation, we can use the interquartile range. And for nominal data, we don't have the deviation, so none can be used. So what kind of graph you are going to choose it? Okay. For scale data, if you have only one variable, then we have to choose histogram. Okay. And if we have scale data, then we have to use scatter plot. And if you have a categorical, then we have to use box plot or confidence interval plot, anything. And for categorical data, we can use pie chart. With the categorical with the scale, we can use box plot. Categorical with the categorical, we can use stacked or multiple bar chart. So this table will explain that for what kind of data we have to use what kind of chart to be used. Okay. So now you can tell whether daily temperature and ice cream sales were related. That we can see, this is the question, actually a common question I'm asking. Okay, whether daily temperature and ice cream sales were related. As a layman, you people please tell. There is no statistics actually. So whether depends upon the temperature, the ice cream sales will differ. Right, it will differ, since because if you have in a summer, the ice cream sales will be more, right? Comparison of mean reaction time for a group having alcohol and a group having a drinking water. So that is like another kind of comparison, right? A people having alcohol and a people having a normal water, they'll be having a reaction time will be more when people having normal water when compared to the alcohol people. Okay, so this is like some basic example, like what kind of data we are going to choose it and how they are related. Okay. For example, this is like a summary statistic for cost of Titanic ticket by survival. Actually, you people might have heard about Titanic, right? Titanic ship has been sink, right? So in that, they'll be having different classes, actually. Okay, that we'll be seeing about later. And you can see here, we are going to see about the cost of a ticket, the people who have died and the people who have survived. Okay, the people who are actually we have different classes. Like even if you go for theaters, we'll be having first class, second class, third class, right there. Even in the train, we'll be having first class, second class, third class AC will be there. Like that, we have so many things there, right? So same way in ship also, we'll be having different classes. So what actually we are thinking, like if you book for more cost, you might have survived. Okay, that is our main motto we are thinking. Okay, so this is like we are checking like the died, what is the died and survived, and what is the mean of the cost. Okay, so 23.4 and 49.4, and you can see these are different kind of the cost of the ticket, minimum and maximum. Okay, and you can see the maximum cost of ticket is like 512, the people who have survived. Okay, and the minimum cost is like 263. Okay, and they have died. Okay, so is there a big difference in average ticket by group? Yeah, it is a big difference is there, because we can see here this is 23.4. I'll explain the next slide. And you can see here which graph I have used to, right? I have checked, I have the question, right? So whether daily temperature and ice cream sales are related, for that you have to use the scatter. Okay, because like it is like scale and scale. Like temperature is another scale data, ice cream sales is also scale data. Okay, and both are scale means we have to use scatter plot. Comparison of mean reaction time for a group having alcohol and a group drinking water, we can use either box plot or we can use the confidence interval plot, anything, because it is like categorical with the categorical, or we may have the because this comes in this case. Okay, categorical and scale, because the reaction time will be scale data and the grouping will be like the normal people and alcohol people will be coming under the categorical. Okay, and this is the question I have asked. Is there a big difference in average ticket by group? Yeah, because in that case you can see here the mean differs much. For the died, the average cost is like 23.4, and for survived is 49.4. So from this we can understand like there is a much difference between the people ticket cost, the people who have died with the survived. Okay, whether which group has data which is more spread out. So standard deviation and interquartile range are much bigger for those who have survived, so the data is more spread out. Okay, so you can see here, you can see median is 26 and interquartile range is 46.6, and you can see for the standard deviation for died is 34.2 only, and interquartile range is 18.2. But survived, you can see here standard deviation is more, 68.7, and interquartile range is 46.6. Okay, so now this from you can understand like the data has been spread out much for the survived when compared to the died people. If the data is skewed, yes, the medians are much smaller than the mean, and the plot shows the data is partially skewed. Okay, and you can see here from this median, okay, median is 10.5, okay, and the interquartile range is 18.2, and median is 26. So you can see here the data has been skewed much. The difference between the mean is more. mean and median, you can see mean is 23.4 and median is 10.5. The difference is more. It means that they are skewed. If it is median is closer to this 23.4, then they are not skewed. If the mean or median a better summary measure, the median at the data is skewed. Okay, in this case, because this is a skewed data, because mean and median are equal, so we can use the median as the better measurement when compared to the mean. So next we can move to the hypothesis testing. Okay, hypothesis testing, I'll just an example. Okay, like a cat is standing and a cat is thinking about what need to be done. Okay, an objective method of making decisions or inference from a sample data evidence. Sample data used to choose between the two choices, hypothesis or statement about the population. We typically do this by comparing what we have observed and to what we have expected if one of the statement was true. Okay, that is null hypothesis. Actually, the cat is thinking that whether it has to go or not. Okay, so the hypothesis is like whether I have to go or not. Okay, and the question will be like, if I go, whether my foot will become chill or not. Okay, this is a statement will be going in the cat mind. Okay, so the whatever a statement is going in your mind, that will become a hypothesis, because we'll be asking a question like whether what we are doing is right or wrong. Okay, so that is known as hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing framing a work. So what textbook might say? Okay, we have always two hypotheses. One is a research hypothesis, that is a statement about what you actually have in your mind. So what we aim to gather evidence, or typically there is a difference or effect or relationship. This is how we usually will frame the hypothesis. Null hypothesis, what we assume is true to begin with. Typically that there is no difference, effect, or relationship. So null hypothesis is nothing but what we try to assume. Okay, that is, this is equal, this is good. Like that, we are going to assume something that will be considered as the null hypothesis. And the alternative hypothesis, like we have to prove something as evidence which is against the null hypothesis. So that is alternative hypothesis. Discussion: how could you help a student understand what hypothesis testing is and why they need to use it? Okay, I'll explain with an counter example by the quote. Okay, this for example, if you want to explain a student, better do with this kind of example. Okay, so could try explaining things in the concept of court case. Okay, I am going to the court, I am going to see about a case. Okay, so members of jury have to decide whether the person is guilty or innocent based on the evidence. So we have a case. So based upon the evidence, a jury have to decide that whether a person is guilty or it is innocent. So I have a hypothesis. My hypothesis is like the man is innocent, the null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis is like the man is not innocent. In other words, the man is guilty. Okay, so I have two hypotheses. A statement, the objective of the study, it is like I have to conclude that whether a person is innocent or guilty. So my null hypothesis will be the person is innocent. Then alternative hypothesis like the person is not innocent. So the first null hypothesis statement will be always a statement will be true. Okay, and the statement null hypothesis will be always the statement about the population what we have actually in our mind. Okay, and the person is not innocent, that is guilty. So the null can be only rejected if there is enough evidence to doubt it. Okay, so if suppose I am going to declare that the person is guilty, I can conclude only if there is enough evidence to doubt it. Okay, that is, a jury can only conclude if there is a beyond reasonable doubt for the null of innocence. Okay, if suppose a jury can conclude that the person is innocent, the person is not innocent, only they have a sufficient evidence of innocent information, like he is not innocent. In that case only they have to conclude that the person is not innocent. They do not know whether the person is really guilty or innocent, so they make a mistake. So here comes the hypothesis testing. Okay, because we are also human, right? We may conclude based upon the evidence the person is guilty, but the person may be innocent. There is a chance. Okay, I will explain this with another example. In a sports, okay, for example, I will explain with the cricket, right? Hope people might have seen the cricket. For example, if a fielder is taking a catch, okay, a fielder is taking a catch, and the umpire, the on-field umpire, have a doubt, right, whether the fielder has grabbed the ball correctly or not. Okay, so the umpire on the field will be having a doubt, and they will be asking the doubt to the third umpire. Please check and tell whether the fielder has grabbed the ball or not. Okay, so the hypothesis is like the ball has been grabbed well. The null alternative hypothesis will be like the ball has not been grabbed well. Okay, So the third umpire, what they will do means, now you people might have seen in the cricket, they will be giving a soft signal. Okay, soft signal means after showing that box type, they'll be showing the soft signal below like out or not out. Okay, so in that case, what they will do means, if suppose the on-field umpire gives out means, the third umpire have to conclude that that is out or not based upon the evidence. Okay, so if suppose what the third umpire, even now you can check in a YouTube, nowadays the voice of the umpire will be given there. Okay, they will be telling that there is no evidence to turn over your decision. They won't tell like till they have a evidence like the ball has not been grabbed well, till that decision they won't change the decision of the on-field umpire. Okay, so you have to make a conclusion based upon the evidence. Okay, so there is a chance of making error also. Okay, because the people, the fielder might have not grabbed well, but still the umpire might have given the out. There is a chance. That is mistake. Okay, so the court case is one type, means the fielder case, what I'm telling is another case. Okay, so what kind of error you people make? Okay, first thing is like S not is true. S not is true means what? The man is innocent. Okay, and you are telling that we are not going to reject S not, means it is like the man is innocent and you are concluding that the man is innocent. That is perfect. There is no error. And if suppose the man is like he is not a innocent, you are concluding that he is not innocent, he is guilty. Fine. Then these both things are not error. These are perfect thing. Okay. This is like a man is innocent and you are making a conclusion as innocent. Good. A man is guilty and you are making a conclusion as a man is guilty. Good. Right? These two decisions are perfect. Okay. If suppose a man is innocent, but you are concluding him as guilty, then that is the wrong decision. Okay. And if a man is guilty and you are making a conclusion as a innocent, then that is also error. These two are the important error in statistics. Okay. This is diagonal element. Okay. And this is known as type 1 error and this is known as type 2 error. So typically what we'll do means we'll be restricting this type 1 error as a 5%. That's why we'll be giving a conclusion as the 95% of the confidence interval. Remaining 5% will be telling us alpha, like alpha equal to 0.05. We'll be telling everything like whenever the p-value is less than 0.05, we'll be concluding that p-value is nothing but tells about this 5% risk, what actually it means. Okay. And this probability of this will be known as power of the test. In other words, this is known as 1 minus beta. Actually, this is beta and this is known as 1 minus beta. Okay. And this is the probability of test. Our main motto is like to maximize this one. Why we are going to maximize this one means this is the error one, right? This is the wrong one. This is the guilty. And the guilty people should be punished. That is the most important one. Even an innocent person, leaving the innocent person is not a problem. But a guilty should be punished, right? A guilty should be making punished. So this should be maximized. Okay, that is our motto. Error term should be rejected. This is error and should be rejected. That's why we are going to maximize this one. That is known as power of the test. And this is known as control through the sample size. This is alpha and this is known as this is the point I have told. This is 1 minus power of the test. This is type 2 error. So what are the steps you have to take for undertaking a hypothesis testing? First thing is define the study question. You have to first tell about what kind of study you are going to do. Second thing, set the alternative hypothesis and null hypothesis. And third thing, calculate the test statistics. Test statistics nothing but the X bar, those things I have told, right? That is test statistics. And calculate the p-value. P-value will be done by the software. Okay, even you can do manually also. And make a decision and interpret your conclusion. This is the steps you have to follow in hypothesis testing. Okay, and define a study question and calculate test statistics. Here comes the important part. Choose a suitable test. What kind of test we are going to use it? How we are going to conclude it? Okay, so that comes the suitable test. What kind of test we are going to choose it? Okay, I will take the example of Titanic. The ship Titanic sank in 1912 with the loss of most of the passengers. 809 passengers of 1,309 passengers and the crew died. So the died percentage is like 61.8%. Okay. And research question is, did class affect survival? That is the point I have told. If suppose you are traveling in the high class, you might have escaped because the people who are under, they have died quickly when compared to the people who have survived in the upper class. Okay, there is a chance, right? So because the ship has not been sink at such, right? That's been thinking very slowly, and the people who are in the up might have escaped. Okay, so I'm going to check that whether the class affect the survival rate. Okay, the people who have traveled in the upper class, whether they have more chance to be survive, we are going to check it. Okay. So the null hypothesis is like there is no association between the class and survival. Class means the first class, second class, third class, ticket class. Okay, and there is association between class and survival. This is the alternate hypothesis. And for this, I am going to use the chi-square test. So this is how you can see first class, second class, and third class. In first class, how many people died and how many people survived. Like that, for each class, I have a data. Okay. And this is known as 3x2 emergency. This contingency table. We have 3 rows and 2 columns, right? So 3x2. So what could be expected if the null is true? Some proportion of the people could have died in each class. So that is the only possible, because we are telling that there is no difference between the class and the survey, means we have to conclude that both the classes have the same number of died. Okay, then only we can conclude that yeah, there is no difference. Okay, based upon the class, there is no difference at all. Okay, even if you travel in any class, you will be dying. Okay, that is the exam. That is the conclusion. So overall, 809 people died out of 1,000. It is 61.8%. So this is like a comparison of percentage of death observed and expected. Okay, you can see here observed death is like blue color. Okay, and expected death is red color. Okay, expected is what we are calculating. Observed is actually what happened. Okay, the expected number of dying in each class is 0.618. Okay, previously the observed it is like 63, right? And expected is got around 61. Okay, so this is the test statistics we are going to use it. Chi-square test. Chi-square test is used when you want to see a 2 categorical variables. Categorical variable means here we have 2 kind of categorical variables. One is survived, other one is class. Survived have 2 types, died and survived, and the class will be having 3 types. So this class is one categorical variable and survive is the another categorical variable. Okay, so test statistics, I'm not going to explain this thing, this will be difficult. So observed is like what we have actually observed. Expected is like what I'm calculating. Okay. So using SPSS, how to do it? So analyze, go to analyze, descriptive statistics, cross tab, click on statistic button and select chi-square, and you'll be getting the output like this. And this chi-square value, this is nothing but your test statistics, what we have discussed, right? So 127.859, and this p-value is like less than 0.01. In this case, I am taking 1% level of significance. Usually we'll be taking as 5%, right? It depends upon the individual. The people who are doing project, they may decide like whether what kind of p-value they are going to take it, whether they are going to take p-value as 5% or 1%. In this case, I have considered the 1%. So you can see here it is less than 0.00. It means that the people who have traveled in class has affected their death. Okay, because in the case like I will explain the other table. Hypothesis testing. You can use the statistical software to undertake a hypothesis. One part of the output is p-value. So if p-value is less than 0.05, reject X naught. It is like evidence of HA being true. That is association. If p-value is greater than 0.05, don't reject H naught. In that case, there is no association. Okay, here I will tell what is p-value. The technical answer is like the probability of getting a test statistic at least as extreme as one calculated if the null is true. Okay, so that is the extreme. This is the end I am calculating. That is the p-value actually. Because till this point I will allow. If you go beyond that, I won't allow. That is like we are making a threshold value, a cutoff value. That value is known as p-value. Okay, that p-value is like probability of getting a test statistic. I want to reach the test statistic at least as extreme as one calculated. Okay. In Titanic example, the probability of getting a statistics of 127.8 or above, if the null is true, is less than 0.01. Because the probability we can see here now it is less than. It is not closer. Okay, my probability value is almost like closer to 0, which is in the sense like I'm not going to accept it. Okay, that's why we are going to reject it. So now you can see here distribution of test statistics, how it looks actually. The p-value will be lying here. Okay. Our test statistics is here. Okay, and your p-value is like here and it's not closer to this test statistics. Interpretation is how you have to interpret, and this p-value is less than 0.01. So since p-value is less than 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. So this you can see here It depends upon your individual. Even you can take 5% if you want, you can take 5%. Even if you want to take 1%, you can take 1%. To suggest that there is association between the people who have traveled in different class and that they depend upon whether they have survived or died. But what is the nature of association, the relationship? Actually, what actually tells about? So let's make example this here. Yeah, we can come here. So which percentage are better for investigating whether a class had an effect on survival? So now you can see here, class, first class, second class, and third class. You can see the died, right? And you can see here the class survived for the third one. Okay, and you can see here the third one class, the people who have survived is like 181, but the people who have died is more, 528. Okay, in first class you can see the people who have survived more is 200. It is in survived, and only 123 people have died. So the people who have survived in the first class has more chance of being survived, and the people who have traveled in the third class have the more chance of being died, 528. So this is the reason why there is association between the class and the survived rate. Okay, so you can see here 65% of those who died were in the third class, and 75% of those in the third class died. Okay, so most of the people have died in the third class only. Okay, 528. Okay, so this is like a bar chart. You can see the bar chart in the first class, second class, and third class, and the blue color represents the died one, and the green color represents the survived one. And you can see in the third class, the people in blue color died, right? They are more, and the people who are survived, they are in the first class. So now you can understand the difference between the classes. People who have traveled in the first class, they have more chance of being survived. When the people who have traveled in the third class, they have more chance of being died. So there is association between the people who have survived and the people who have traveled. Okay, in different classes. Which class affect survival? The solution is yes. Okay. This is how actually we have explained. Okay, within the class, and you can see like 62% of the people who have survived and 74% of people have died in third class. Okay, so from this, even from the chart, you can understand, and we have concluded that data collected on 1309% about the Titanic was used to investigate whether a class had an effect on chance of survival. There was evidence like to suggest that there is association between the class and survival. The reason is like it is less than 0.01 or less than 0.05. And shows that in figure this shows that the class and chance of the survival were related. As the class decreases, the percentage of those who surviving also decreases. Okay, you can see here in first class it's 62%, and second class 43%, and third class is 26%. It's reduced the survived, and you can see about the died. It kept on increased. First class 38, second class is 57, and third class is 74%. So this shows that there is association between the class and the survivor. This is the SPSS output. So we have no cells with the expected cell count less than below 5, and you can see here it has been mentioned here. 0 cells. Usually, if we have 0 cells, then if we have some values less than 5, the frequency. If suppose we have means we have to combine that. That is a different topic. This is the number of cells with expected count less than 5. So SPSS report the cell with the expected count less than 5. If more than 20%, then statistic does not approximate 1. If suppose you have the cell count which is less than 5, then you can't use the chi-square test. Okay, that is not a good test to be used. Okay, so our main assumption will be like every cell should be greater than 5. If suppose you are having something like something less than 5 means, then we have to use the Fisher exact test. That is another test when compared to the chi-square test. Okay, now we can move to the comparing means. So summarizing means we can do in the calculate summary statistic by group. Okay, this is the box plot I have for the 2 groups like male and female. Okay, and look for the outliers. You can see here, as I told, this is the maximum, and this is the third quartile, this is median, this is the first quartile, and this is the minimum. Okay, and some points are beyond the maximum. That is called outlier. Okay, outlier in the sense like some observation which is beyond the maximum. Okay, maximum in the sense like something which is out of our control, some observation will be there. So using box plot, we can find that whether there is any outlier. So you can see here for a male, these many data are outside, and these are the for female, these many data are outside the maximum point. Okay. So t-test, we have three different kind of t-test. One is a t-test for one sample, then it's paired, then the independent sample t-test. Okay, so paired or independent data t-tests are used to compare two population mean. Paired means same individual studied at two different times. For example, you people know blood test, right? Blood test, what you usually will do means nowadays for taking a blood test for diabetes, what they will do means before food and after food. For a same patient, we'll be taking a blood test before food. Okay, and when after taking a food, we'll be giving again the same blood test, right? For the same person. So that is known as paired one. Paired one means we are taking for the same individual but at different times. For example, a student will be given a training. Okay, before giving a training, they'll be having an aptitude test. After giving a training, they'll be having the aptitude test, and they'll be taking the marks. That will show that whether the training has effect or not. That is also same number of students. Same students will be given before training and after training. Okay, that is known as paired data. Independent means data collected from two separate groups. Okay, like male and female. Okay, and diabetic and non-diabetic patient. We'll be having two different samples, not from the same individual. That is known as independent sample t-test. Okay, so the comparison of hours worked in 1988 to today. Okay, the same people have reported their hours for 1988 to 2015 have paired measurement of same variable. Okay, so if suppose I am going to take a data from from a person who is working for almost like 30 years, and I'm going to ask the question, in 1988, how much works you have done? And in 2014, how much work you have done? Okay, so that is known as paired one. If I'm going to different people are used in 1988 and 2015, then it will become an independent measurement. If suppose I'm going to get the data, same kind of data, but I'm going to get the data from two different people means, then that will come under the independent sample. Okay, and if I'm going to collect from the same sample, that will come under the paired one. Okay, and you can see the hypothesis like the difference. D is nothing but difference. Okay, because for the same sample, I'll be having only this x, one x, and this is another x. I'll be finding the difference, that is mu d. And this is like 1988 and 2014 means two different samples I'm going to take it. Okay, I will be collecting from a one person at 1988 and another person at 2014. In that case, it is two different samples, so it will be like independent sample t-test. And this is how we have to enter the data in SPSS, like paired data. You have to enter like this: name and hours 1988 and hours 2014 for paired. For independent, you have to create like this: name and hours and year. Okay, in this case, you can see here I have only three possible samples, and you can see here I have six possible samples. Okay, three different same possible but two measurements. Three same samples but two measurements. And here you can see here I have took six samples. Okay, and you can see 1988, 1988, 1988 I have got from three people, and from 2015 I got another three people, not from the same people. In this case, I have collected from the same people. Okay. If I leave what is the t distribution because it will take, I will take much time. Okay, and in this example, you can see here in a weight loss study, triglyceride level are measured at baseline and again after 8 weeks of taking a new weight loss treatment. What they are doing means they are giving they are taking for a level. Okay, that is a triglyceride level. Okay, that will tell about like after weight loss how much your triglyceride level is there. Okay, so they are going to take the same person at the baseline. Baseline means before taking that weight loss. After taking the weight loss, they are going to take the triglyceride level. Okay. So now you can see here triglyceride level at baseline and triglyceride level after 8 weeks. And I'm going to collect for the same person. Okay. Excuse me. 1 minute. Okay, so this is like I'm going to take the same level, but at the baseline and after the treatment of weight loss, and I'm going to take the another level. Okay, and this is how your test result will be there in SPSS. So now you can see here I'm going to take the triglyceride level at week 8 minus triglyceride level at baseline. So for the same person, the mean difference like it is like minus 11.317, and you can see the p-value. Okay, and p-value is like greater than, this is the p-value. Okay, this is greater than 0.05. So we should not reject the null hypothesis. No evidence of a difference in the mean triglyceride level before and after. So even after the the weight loss also, the triglyceride level does not change. Okay, so there is no association, like the, even if you lose weight also, your triglyceride level does not change. So weight loss was measured after taking either a new weight loss treatment or a placebo for 8 weeks. Okay, this is like I am going to take the independent sample. So I am having two groups, like one is placebo and another one is new drug, and I am going to take the triglyceride level. These are two different groups. Okay, and ignore the shaded part as of now. You leave this. Okay, now we are going to check about difference between a new drug and the placebo. Now we can see the difference, right? The first example what we have seen is like for the same sample, we are going to take the triglyceride level. Okay, same sample means at the baseline, what is the triglyceride level, and after 8 weeks they lost some weight. At that point, I am taking the triglyceride level. That is paired one, and this is like I am going to check for the two different drugs, right? One is a new drug and another one is placebo. That is another old one, and I am going to check the triglyceride level, and it has been given for the two different kind of samples, not for the same person. Okay. In this case, you can see here again the p-value is less than 0.05, so that is the difference. Okay, so placebo and the treatment has a difference. For assumption in t-test, I will leave these things. Let's move on to the this will take much time. So this is an alternative test. The important assumption is like for t-test is like your t-test follow a distribution, either t-distribution or it follows normal distribution. Okay, so independent t-test, we have to check for the histogram of data by group. Okay, and pair t-test, we have to get the histogram of pair difference. If suppose you find that your data does not follow normal distribution, then you have to go for the non-parametric. That for independent t-test, the alternative is Smart-Whitney, and for paired, it will be the alternative will be Wilcoxon-Sindram. Okay, these things I will leave. Let me go to the relationship. This is an important thing. Okay, so if suppose I am having two categorical variable, are boys more likely to prefer maths and science than girls? Suppose I am raising a hypothesis like whether the boys are more likely to prefer maths and science when compared to the girls. Any doubt? Okay, so I'm going to check for the boys are more likely to prefer maths and science than girls. So variables will be like favorite subject, nominal. Okay, and gender will be binary or nominal. So summarizing, this can be done using the chi-square test. This is what we have discussed. The example what we have discussed is class and survival. Same way, if suppose I have for this kind also we can use the chi-square test. Okay, if suppose I am having two scale variable. This is like categorical variable. If I am having two scale variable, how I have to find the relationship? So explore the way the two covary like positive or negative, linear or non-linear, or strong or weak. And please check for the outlier. You can see here I am checking for the weight and S size. Okay, so depends upon how much S size you do, whether your weight is as a relationship or not. Okay, so two scale data. This is two categorical data. If suppose I am having BMI and height and weight. If suppose I am having, okay, so height is also measurable data and BMI is also measurable data, right? Both are scale data, and depends upon your height, your BMI will change, right? So this is the relationship between the two variables. Okay, and for that you have to use the correlation coefficient. Now you can see here the correlation coefficient range between -1 to 1. Okay, and if it is 0.9, your data will be looking like this. For example, I have shown the straight line, your sample data will fall above and below and closer to the straight line. And no linear relationship, it is like R equal to 0.01. Okay, and you can see it is not closer to the straight line and they are not linearly related. And negative relationship, it will be in the vice versa. Okay, positive relationship means it kept on increasing. Negative relationship means it kept on decreasing. Okay, and for this case, the correlation value will be like 0.9, and for this case, the correlation value is -0.9. How to conclude it? So an interpretation of the coefficient has been decided by the Kogan in 1992. So correlation coefficient value, if it is a range between -0.3 to +0.3, it is weak relationship. And if suppose it range from 0.3 to 0.5 for positive, and for negative minus 0.5 to minus 0.3, it is moderate one. And if it range between 0.5 to 0.9, that is strong relationship. And if it is 0.9 to 1, it is very strong relationship. Okay. Okay, this is an some interesting example I have chosen. Okay. And a paper, this is a research article actually, and this study is something very interesting one. Okay, a paper in a New England Journal of Medicine claimed a relationship between the chocolate and Nobel Prize winner. If people are wondering, actually the people who are won the prize winners, Nobel Prize winners, they have the they have the more assumptions of taking chocolate. This is a study has been studied in the New England Journal of Medicine, and I have given the link. Actually, I have shared the presentation. People can go through it. And you can see what they have done means they have told the relationship between the 0.791. You can see how much related. It is like 80% they are related. So it means that if you take more chocolate, you'll be a Nobel Prize winner. That is the conclusion actually we got. Okay. But actually what happened means, this is another example. This is also another study. What else related to the chocolate consumption is like chocolate and serial killer. Okay. The serial killer and the people who take more chocolate are related to each other. Okay, so it is like the correlation is almost 0.52. Okay, it is also another interesting study. Okay, so interpret the following correlation coefficient using now you can see here average IQ and chocolate consumption 0.27. It is not much correlated. Okay, since it is less than 0.3, and road fatalities and Nobel winners is 0.55. It's okay, and gross domestic product and Nobel winners is 0.7. It's a good relationship. And mean temperature and Nobel winners, you can 3 minus 0.6. Now you can see the variables what I have chosen are not related. Actually, here comes the human as a statistician, because software will be seeing everything as a number. Okay, whatever number you give, a software or a program will give the output. But as an individual, as a project, people, what you are going to do, you have to decide whether it is suitable one or not. Okay. Okay, now we can see. If there's something else affecting both chocolate consumption and Nobel Prize winner, you can see here, whoever taking chocolate consumption, okay, and the number of Nobel winners, they are both are related to the GDP wealth temperature. Okay, and this you can see here, these both are related, and this is related to this one. Okay, but related in the sense like they are numbers, they are data. Okay, so just like if you give the software, it will give the output. Okay, but they have done a study on this, and they have collected the data for the overall the Nobel Prize winners. They have asked about their chocolate, whether they will be consuming the chocolate or not. Okay. So this is another example I will explain. The factor affecting birth weight of a babies. Okay. So on stand gestation is like 40 weeks. Okay. So what they are doing means like we have one variable like mother smokes or not. Okay. Nowadays actually in foreign countries the mother will be smoking, right? And whether you are going to check that whether it affects the weight of a baby or not. Okay. So we have two things we have, right? So describe the relationship between the gestational age of a baby and their weight at birth. Okay. So now we can see here gestational age of a baby and their weight at birth. It is like the relationship is like 0.706. Okay. So describe the relationship between the gestational age of a baby and their weight at birth. So you can now for a straight line, I have plotted the different points. There is a strong positive relationship which is linear. Okay. So regression is nothing but the association between the two variables. So regression is useful when we want to look for a significant relationship between the two variables, predict a value of one variable for a given value of the other. So that's what we do in the regression. In correlation, we'll be finding the relationship between the two variables. Okay. And in regression, we'll be finding the relationship as well as we are going to define that relationship as a function. Okay. For example, y equal to f of x. That f of x is nothing but a plus bx. Okay, so something we are going to define the relationship as a function that will be coming under the regression. Now we can see the residual difference between the observed and predicted. Okay, so now we can see here, this is a regression line I have plotted. So baby heavier than predicted. Okay, now you can see here, this is a normal baby weight, but it has been predicted heavy. And the baby lighter than expected. Here it has been lighter when compared to the expected. And baby same as predicted, it comes under here. Okay. So what we are going to do means the difference between the observed and expected will come under the residuals. Okay. So regression line. So simple linear regression line looks at the relationship between the two scale variables by producing an equation for a straight line of the form y equal to a plus beta x. So A is the intercept and B is the slope, which use the independent variable to predict the dependent variable. So hypothesis testing, this I will leave. Yeah, this I will come. So once you fitted the model, you have to check for the R square value. How much R square? You can see R square is nothing but the coefficient of determination, or in other words, you can tell how much your data has been fitted. Okay. So you can see it is almost like 50%. So which variable may improve the fit of the model? Compare the model using the adjusted R square. So assumption for regression, these are the assumptions. The relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable should be linear. Okay. Homozygosity, the variance of the residuals about the predicted response should be same for all the predicted response. Okay. And the residuals are independently normal distributed. Now, this first assumption is only important one. Okay. Next, multiple linear regression. Okay. What affects the number of Nobel Prize winners? So dependent will be the number of Nobel Prize winners, and the possible independence I have took as chocolate consumption, GDP, and mean temperature. Okay. So chocolate consumption is significantly related to the Nobel Prize winner in the simple linear regression. We have already seen. We have given as R as 0.7. Okay. Once the affect the country DP and temperature were taken into account, there was no relationship. So once I include the GDP and temperature, automatically it shows that there is no relationship between the chocolate and the Nobel Prize winner. So once you are going to include some variables, be sure that whether it affects the model or not. Okay. Let's move to the logistic regression. So logistic regression, how it differs from the linear regression. Linear regression, you can check that y is your y equal to a plus bx, right? Your y is a continuous variable. Okay, continuous variable means measurable variable. If suppose y is a categorical variable, then what kind of regression we can use it? That is logistic regression. In other words, logistic regression is nothing but the classification technique. Okay. So for example, logistic regression is as a binary dependent variable. The model can be used to estimate the probability. Insurance quotes are based on the likelihood of having an accident. So dependent will be like have an accident or do not have accident. So we have two outcomes, whether you're having an accident or do not having an accident. An independent variable like age, gender, occupation, marital state, and annual mileage. So this is the different kind of variables, whether it affects the being an accident or not having an accident. For example, if suppose for a diabetic patient, we'll be having two variables, right? For example, a new patient is coming, we have to check whether he is a diabetic or not. So we have Y as two outcome. One is we can conclude as a diabetic, and second one is non-diabetic. And for concluding that, we'll be having certain independent variables. For example, we'll be checking about their BP, and we'll be asking about their food style, and we'll be asking whether their ancestors, like their parents, had the problem of diabetes. If suppose they tell yes for everything, it means that they'll be having a chance of being selected as the diabetic patient. So this is like a grouping. Okay, diabetic or non-diabetic, two groups are there. So logistic regression will be useful whenever a new member comes. You can conclude that whether they belong to the diabetic or non-diabetic. Same way here in this case, we have the based upon this one, age, gender, occupation, marital status, annual mileage, we can conclude that whether we have a chance of getting into an accident or does not have an accident. Okay. So here comes the choosing the right test. One of the most common queries in stats support is which analysis should I use? There are several steps to help the student decide. When a student explains their project, these are the questions you need to answer for. Okay. So choosing the right test, a clearly defined research question. What is dependent variable and what type of variable it is? Okay, first thing. How many independent variables are there and what data types are they? Whether they are categorical, whether they are continuous, we have to define that. Are you interested in comparing the mean or investigating the relationship? Do you have repeated measurement of same variable for each subject? So these are the questions you have to ask yourself. If suppose you are going to do the project, if your student is doing a project, then you have to ask these questions. Clear question with measurable quantity. Which variable will help answer these questions? So once you started asking your research questions, we have to check that what kind of output you are going to get it. Think about what test is needed before carrying out a study, so the right type of variables are collected. So before collecting a data, please check what kind of data you are going to analyze it and what kind of test you are going to analyze it. After that, based upon the test what you choose, then perfectly choose what kind of data you are going to collect it. Okay, so independent variable, explanatory or predictor variable affect the dependent variable. Okay, so does the attendance have an association with the exam score? Yes, definitely. Do women do more housework than men? Most of the time. Okay. So this is like attendance will come under the independent. Attendance will be coming under the independent, and exam scores will come under the dependent. And women will be coming as the independent, and housework will come under the dependent. Okay. So what the variable is a dependent? Okay. So if you have dependent, I have two types, scale and categorical. In categorical, I have ordinal and nominal. So what kind of test I am going to use it? Okay. So our boys are better at maths. So how can better can be measured and what type of variable is it? Before that, I will finish it here. For this kind, if your dependent is scale, then use regression. If your dependent is categorical, then use the logistic regression. In logistic regression, if you have only two types, then use the binary logistic. If you have more than two types, then use the multinomial logistic. How can better can be measured? What type of variable it is? Exam score is scale. I consider myself be good at maths. It is ordinal. Okay, so I have two type of data. One is scale, another one is ordinal. How many variables are interested in the relationship? One is dependent and one is independent. One dependent and several independent variables. Some may be controlled. Some may be controlled, like we have included some more independent variables. Whatever variables we want, we can choose it. Relationship between more than two variables will be coming under the multivariate technique, which I have not touched here. So data type. As attendance have an association with the exam scores. Exam score is a dependent variable and independent variable is attendance. Do women do more housework than men? So hours of work is like dependent or outcome variable, and gender is like binary. Then it will come into the logistic. Okay. So this is logistic regression and this is linear regression. So now we can tell for what kind of test what should be done. Where Americans more likely to be survive on board the Titanic. So dependent variable will be like survival, and dependent another independent will be nationality. Both are nominal. Okay. So this will come under the chi-square. Does weekly hours of work influence the amount of work time on housework? So your dependent will be the hours of housework, and independent is the hours of work. Both are scale. Then we can use the correlation regression. Which of three diet is best for losing a weight? Weight loss and diet is the outcome variable, that is scale, and diet is your nominal, that will come under the logistic. Okay. Okay, now we can see this chart will tell us about what kind of test you have to do it. Comparing means I am just concluding it. Okay, so this chart will help you like what kind of test you have to choose it. So comparing between two groups, if you have two groups, then we have to go to independent t-test. If you have more than two groups, like 3, it will be coming in one way ANOVA. Okay, if suppose comparing measurement within the same subject. Okay, do you remember this one? Comparing between two groups means two different groups. Comparing measurement with the same subject means only one group but at different times. If you have two groups, then it is pair t-test. If you have more than two groups, that will be coming in the repeated measures ANOVA. Okay, now we can tell, this is already I have told, right? So do women do work more house than men? So housework and gender, what kind of test is independent t-test? Does margarine X reduce your cholesterol level? That is, cholesterol is independent variable and occasion is independent variable. Then repeated measures ANOVA. Which of three diet is best for losing a weight? Then that will come under the one way ANOVA. Okay. This will tell about the two categorical variable, and your dependent variable is categorical and independent variable is categorical. Then you have to use chi-square test. Two scale variable, your both independent and dependent variables are scale, then use Pearson correlation. If dependent variable is scale and independent variable is scale or binary, then use the simple linear regression. If dependent variable is binary, your independent variable may be scale or binary, then use logistic regression. Okay. Now this tells about test, what kind of test you needed. Test attendance affects exam score. Dependent variable will be exam score, and independent variable like attendance. Both are scale, then it is correlation. If both are scale, and if you want to predict it, then you have to use regression. Correlation or regression, both will be same. Once you want to find the relationship, that will be correlation. If you want to predict it, then you have to use the regression. And if you have binary and nominal, both are categorical, then chi-square. Binary, gender, class, and more number of nominal, then there will be called as logistic regression. Non-parametric test. Okay, non-parametric test is like parametric test, like t-test, what you have seen. Like t-test and ANOVA, those things will come under the parametric. Assume data to follow a particular distribution. Example, normal, anything, any distribution. Non-parametric techniques are based on ranks and does not have an assumption like if a data does not follow any distribution, we don't have any kind of assumption, then we can use the non-parametric.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, rather than being a binary dependent variable, suppose if it is a categorical variable that is having three category, like the dependent variable is a categorical variable having three categories, then what would be the kind of test that we are using?
That is called multinomial.
Multinomial.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Binary logistic will be like if a dependent variable only two outcome, like male and female, like urban, rural, diabetic, non-diabetic. If you have only two output for Y, okay, then that will be coming as binary. As you told, like
Okay.
if I have more than two outputs, like if I have more classification as 3 or 5, more than 2, it may be multinomial logistic.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
At least this example we have already seen, right? This is normal distribution and this is not normal distribution. Okay. This is like left skewed and this both are normal distribution. If suppose your data does not follow normal distributions or any distribution, then we have to use the non-parametric. Okay. This is the important thing. For every parametric test, there will be non-parametric test. I will check it. Okay. Now parametric test, independent t-test, dependent variable by group. Okay. I have to check for the normality. If it follows normal distribution, then do independent t-test. If it does not follow normal distribution, then you MAT-min t-test. If suppose paired t-test is used for paired difference. If it follow distribution, use paired t-test. If not, use Wilkinson sign rank test. If I have more than two groups, this is only two groups. If I have more than two groups, use one way ANOVA. Okay. If suppose it does not follow normal distribution, use Kruskal values. If suppose I am going to use the paired t-test for more than two groups, then use repeated measures ANOVA for parametric. If a data follow normal distribution, if a data does not follow normal distribution, then use the non-parametric test, Friedman test. Pearson correlation coefficient, at least one of the variables should be normal. If a data does not follow normal distribution, then use find the Spearman correlation. And if a data follow normal distribution and if you want to find the residual, then linear regression. Linear residual is nothing but prediction. Linear regression. If suppose they are not having, please use transform the data. That is no non-parametric actually. Okay. So this is a summary. So dependent will be having scale. In scale, we'll be having normally distributed skewed data. For normally distributed data, we have to use parametric test. For skewed data, we have to non-parametric. And for categorical, for ordinal, we have to non-parametric. For nominal, we have to use chi-square. So scenario, question to consider, research question. First thing we have to know about research, what is the question we have. Then dependent variable and type and independent variable. Or the repeated measurement of the same variable for each subject. In that case, we have to use the repeated measures. So let me stop here because this will keep on going about the non-parametric test. This is ANOVA. Actually, ANOVA is like more than two groups. It's an extension of the independent sample t-test. Okay. So let me stop here and I will ask the question. If people have any doubt, can ask.
Hello, sir. I'm Ruxana Rinchi from Psychology Department. Sir, which
Yes.
test is mainly used in psychology?
There is no specific like only for this department this kind of test is used. We can't tell like that actually. It depends upon the what kind of data you collect. If you are going to collect, if you are going to collect something scaling data, if you are going to collect something categorical data, usually in psychology, you people will be getting mostly categorical data only. Okay, you'll be studying the how to tell that mental illness, right? Mental illness of individuals. You'll be studying about psychology, right? In that you'll be collecting mostly categorical variable, right? So in categorical variable, you have to use non-parametric test. We can use mostly non-parametric test. We can use it. Non-parametric like logistic, we can use chi-square. We can use chi-square test also. Then you can. I have not considered the multivariate techniques. I have not discussed because it will take another much time. You can use factor analysis, cluster analysis. You can use those things also for your study. And if you want principal component analysis, you can use it. Then modeling, you can use it. It depends upon the objective of your study, what you are going to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If people have any doubts, if you have
Sir,
any, yeah,
sir,
please, yeah.
One doubt. Sir, can you explain the difference between a confounding variable and a moderating variable? Also, the mediating variable. These three.
Confounding, what, come again, what are you telling?
The differences between confounding variable, moderating variable, and mediating variable.
Okay, actually, these three variables actually they are related to each other. Actually, what you told like confounding variable, mediator variable, and the resulting usually will be telling as resulting variable. Okay, it is like if suppose I'm having three kind of variables like x, y, z. Okay, how we can tell confounding means x and z are related to each other. Okay, for example, I'm telling x and z are related to each other, and there is a variable called y which is related to x and z actual both together.
Okay.
Okay, and y will be known as the confounding variable. Confounding in the sense like it is a hidden variable. Okay, we don't know that y has influence on x as well as on z, but it has influence on x and z. But x and z are related. That's why I have shown that. Wait a minute. I'll explain that chocolate consumption, right? That will be example. Yeah. Confounding. So yeah, you can see here GDP wealth. It is like chocolate consumption and number of Nobel winners. They are related to each other. Okay, but in between they have a GDP wealth temperature. Once you included, these two are not rated. That this is known as confounding. Once you include the confounding variable, the actual relationship will be disturbed.
Okay, sir. So while doing the statistical analysis, should we consider the confounding variable?
In statistical analysis, mostly will be don't we won't consider the confounding variable in the sense like
Okay.
it will be including all the variables. We won't
Okay.
differentiate that this is the confounding, this is mediator. We won't differentiate like that. We'll be considering all the variables as an independent variable. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Then we'll be selecting the variables which is influencing. That is known as selection of variables. There are three kind of selection of variables are there. One is stepwise, then is forward selection and backward elimination. Using these three different methods, we can select the variables.
Okay. Sir, then mediator and moderator variables.
Okay,
Could you please
mediatory and
explain?
moderatory variable, it's like a mediatory and moderatory variable in the sense like if you are making something as a function of the other one, that is known as mediating and moderating. In the sense like if suppose you have a data and your data does not follow any kind of distribution, for example. Okay, and in
Okay.
that case, you will be transforming your variable.
Okay.
Okay, transforming in the sense like I'll be transforming like log transformation. I'll be trying for exponential transformation. Like that, I'll be transforming the one variable to the other variable. So your mediator will be like in the case like your actual variable will be considered the mediator, and the moderating will be like whatever you're going to convert it will be considered as the moderating variable.
Sir, it's not clear. Sir,
It's not. For
no
example, I'm
clear.
taking x. For example, a variable considered the x. Okay, and
Okay.
that the x will be considered a moderating variable. Okay, and what I'm going to do means I'm going to just transform that x into another variable.
Okay.
That will be f of x. Okay, for example, f of x will be like as y.
Okay.
So that y will be like your mediating variable again.
Okay.
And we are going to change the every x, you'll be getting every y, right? Y equal to f of x means for each value of x, you'll be getting every value, each value for y.
Okay.
That is known as moderating. That's why I told the transformation. If you're going to transform one variable to the other form, that will be called as mediating.
Sir, then can't we say that there is a relationship between these like dependent variable
Definitely, if
and
you're going to mediate and moderate, definitely there will be relationship will be there because that is a function, right?
okay.
Y is
Okay,
equal to
sir.
f of x means definitely depends upon the x values. Y will going to be changing. Definitely. That is why they are called mediating and moderating means they both are related to each other.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
My name is Suraj. I'm a computer
Yeah.
science student. So,
Okay.
could you please explain the role of statistics in data science?
Role of statistics?
In data science.
Data science. Actually, okay, fine. Actually, in last 10 years, it is like a, like statistics along with the computer science has been emerged as a new world. Actually, now the people are previously they'll be called as data science, data analyst, and now people are called as data scientist. Okay, the role of statistics in data science, I can tell like it's a biggest role, but what I can tell means Actually, I have a diagram, but I am unable to get the diagram. Actually, it is like a combination of 50% of computer science and 50% of statistics. So role of statistics in data science, it is like you people should know about the statistical methods. Okay. As well, you people should be more familiar with the programming language like R, Python, SAS, and like there are so many SAS, there are so many programming languages out there. So role of statistics in data science is nothing but you people, when you are more comfortable with the basic statistics, then you can do wonder in data science actually. But really, in recent time, what I have come through means the people are thinking like they know basic statistics, but they don't know the basic difference of the basic essence of the statistics, or does not know about to the people. So what I can tell means like there is no data science without statistics.
Okay, sir.
You want to know about the placement, those things you want to know, or?
Sir,
Sir, I am a science student. Sir,
You are also
which programming software is suitable for statistical analysis?
you are asking about software, or you are asking about programming language?
Software.
Software, okay. In software, you can see SPSS. We can use SysSat. Shall I type in the text box? Okay. In the SPSS, then SysSat, then Minitab, and most importantly, Excel. Nowadays, people won't study Excel actually. In Excel, we have a separate data tool is there, Excel Stat. A separate package will be there, right? A tool will be like Excel Stat, and these are some. Even you can use MATLAB also. You can use it. I prefer Excel. Excel is the best software for learning statistical analysis because everything will be available in statistics in Excel. And for programming, I usually I'm doing in R language. Then even you can use Python and SAS. Then Mathematica also will be good. These things will come under the programming language. Actually, R and Python are open source. You can download and you can use it. It will be so interesting to learn actually. And what are the softwares I have told? Everything is cost-based one. I think only Excel you people can get the original version. In Excel will be like open source. You can use it. And remaining things we have to pay and we have to get it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, okay. Actually, there are a lot of openings for the data scientist actually. Frankly speaking, like last 10 years, the recruitment for data scientists is more actually. Don't think data scientists only for the statistic people actually, because nowadays the engineers are called as data scientists actually. The people who know statistics, some basics of statistics, along with the computer knowledge, is more than efficient to become a data science actually. That's why now recent time, like 5 to 6 years, we are getting a new and a lot of departments. They have created a new department course called MSc Data Science or MSc Applied Statistics with the Data Analyst. Like that, they have created new courses also. So it is like it will be a combination of statistics along with the computer science. If you are good at database management, DMS is also so important actually. And the other thing is machine learning. Machine learning is a kind of statistical learning only. But if you know the basic statistics, then machine learning will be so easy. So data science will be like a combination of statistics, machine learning, data mining, and computer science. You should have a knowledge of everything, but the basic is enough. Most importantly, you should know statistics and the programming language. Sorry, I have a huge set of topics or leftover till now. I have not covered much thing. Actually, I have just given a hidden about each ideas. It will take like 2 to 3 days. We can have a separate workshop for the statistics actually. Anyhow, that's an intro to statistics. I think I have covered some basic important things I have covered. Still, if you people have any doubt, you can ask. Any feedback, please. If any feedback also mostly welcome. I like negative feedbacks. If you feel something which can be improved, please let me know. I think I have rushed up much. That is the one big disadvantage. Every time I face, like I'll be rushing up the things because I want to fix finish that things in time. That's why I rushed it up, and I want to cover all the topics. So I'll be telling each and everything, and I'll be touching the each topics. So any negative feedbacks also people can tell me.
Thank you, sir. The session was so amazing, and you have covered introductory statistics. It's a very the session was very well, and I hope everyone enjoyed this session too. If anyone have any doubts regarding this session, you can just air that question right now. This session will be going for 5 minutes. Just you can air that question now. I think no questions. So before inviting for vote of thanks, there will be a link posted in the chat box. Just you can click that link and just you can write your feedback in that. Then there will be a certificate issued from the side of college. So I request Adib sir, assistant professor in mathematics, to address the gathering with vote of thanks.
Thank you, Aman. Good morning, everyone. I, on behalf of KRSN College and Dishana 2021, pass my warm thanks to all the audience for their significant presence in this meeting. I especially want to thank our resource person, respected Dr. G. Kumarapandan, for his vital appearance. He spared his time from his busiest schedule to grace this occasion. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. A special mention to our principal, Dr. Anil, being the catalyst that inspired us to do our best. Further, I want to pass my gratitude to Ms. Atulya, Mr. Suraj, and Mr. Aman Said, since their presence was instrumental in the smooth functioning of the event. I would like to place my heartily thanks to all the people who work in the background. At last, once again, a warm thanks to all people in this meeting, making this event a grand success. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to all. Actually, thank you for your patient listening, and thank you for giving this opportunity to deliver the talk. Thank you all.